I am not normal. What is going on, guys? Carter here with Edge Mindset. Got another video for you. We're tackling a topic related to comments that I get on my video. Now, I'm going to do my best to explain my point of view here. But what this video relates to is people leaving comments about the knives that I feature, the knives in my collection, how expensive they are, things like that. Now, these comments range all the way from, just proactive comments or people saying, your collection is so awesome. I hope one day to have some of the stuff you have, or I hope one day to be financially secure enough to get things like this. Sometimes it's middle of the road where they kind of take a little bit of a jab of, how can I buy these things and have so much? And, I've got more on display in a particular video that's worth more than their entire collection, things like that. And then, of course, all the way to like the nasty comments, right? Like, I'm an idiot for owning things like this. No knife should ever cost that much. I'm a loser because of all these things that I buy. So across the gamut. Now, the point of this video isn't for me to defend anything or to try to change perspectives necessarily or have you think differently about me. I don't care. I'm out here public facing. People are going to form their opinions. I can't really control that. That's fine. My goal, though, is to try to ease or hopefully ease any sort of concern people have about themselves, right? So anybody that feels maybe down that they're not able to get some of the things that they see, or, why do I get to get so many cool knives and blah, 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 and they aren't right now, or, whatever the case may be. I don't want people feeling bad that their collection isn't in the state that mine is, or that they're not able to get the things that I'm able to get. And so there's two main points I want to point out here. One, everything is temporary. The stage I'm in right now, with my financial status and my ability to produce content, is amazing. And that's why I'm doing so much of it, because I'm able to do it. I'm able to get knives that I never dreamed I would be able to get. And I'm taking advantage of that, and I'm making a lot of content. But I know it's not going to last forever. In fact, I know it's not. My situation is going to change, probably sooner rather than later, from different factors. One is employment status is going to change for me, which is going to affect, this kind of stuff is what's going to be cut out, right? And also, I've got boys turning into young men, and that's going to be expensive. So things are going to change for me. I'm not going to be able to do this forever. I'm taking advantage of it while I can, but it's not going to last forever. So that's one point. Whenever you see somebody that has more than you, or gets more than you, or nicer things than you, there's a good chance that that's not forever. It's easy to assume that they've always had those things, and they always will have those things. More often than not, you're catching them at a brief period in their life where they're able to make these things happen. And like all things that go up and down and ebb and flow, situations change. More than likely, it will change too. And that's the same with me. Like, you may see these knives and think I've always been able to get these things, and I always will be able to. That's not true at all. This is a weird little blip in my life where I'm able to do this. And so I'm taking advantage of it, and it's going to change. And I've touched on this before, part of where I am at with like knife collecting is when I look at these knives, I don't look at these as like, this money's gone, right? These have value, and I will have to sell these to pay for things like this knife right here. I will definitely have to sell this, Borka stitch, one day in the near future, because I really, you can't keep things forever. Situations change. And then I'll go back to getting Kaisers or Remets or whatever, right? I'm going to keep moving forward. Just my situation will change. So that's one aspect. The other aspect is I have more knives than I would normally have as a private collector, right? I'm not normal. I'm not like just an average knife collector. Because I'm running this channel, I'm using it to generate content. So the amount of knives I have in my collection, I wouldn't normally have if I was just a private collector, like in the past, right? So I'm purposely moving some of my funds into my knife collection because it allows me to produce content. I can do top 10s, I can do my favorites, I can do comparison videos, I can do all kinds of things. I can show knives to new subscribers, right? Normally, I would have sold this, right? I would have said, I really can't afford to keep this custom Marfnione, So I'm going to get it, do some content. I got to sell it. But I've been able to hold on to it because I know I can continue to create content on this, make new videos for people that haven't seen it yet, do comparisons, things like that. So I'm artificially tying more money up into in my collection than would be considered normal for people, right? Most people would not do this. I wouldn't do this. If YouTube went away, I wouldn't have all these knives, right? I would maybe distill my collection down to something like what you see here on camera. Probably not the really expensive pieces, but I mean, you know, less than 10 solid pieces in my collection, and then maybe some, you know, other knives kicking around here or there, but I would not have nearly the amount of knives that I have in my collection, right? And if YouTube went away tomorrow, I would liquidate most of the knives in my collection because there wouldn't be a driver to have that many on hand. But right now I have a driver to have it on hand. So when you see all these knives on my channel, don't think that you should match that. Nobody should. I have a ridiculous amount of knives. Nobody should have this amount of knives, and nobody should have this amount of money tied up in knives. And I don't want to give the impression like this is how you should be, because I'm making content, so I'm doing things differently, and I think about knives differently. I will buy knives solely for the channel. You know, like, here's an example. I haven't gotten one yet, but the SPK Lamia. Not really something I'm interested in personally. I think it's overpriced. I get the appeal. I do want to try one out, but it's not something I would normally buy for my collection. However, being a content creator, if I see one pop up for a reasonable price, it's possible that I jump on it solely so that I can get it, check it out, do some content, and knowing I can sell it and get my money back, right? So I think a lot of people mistakenly assume everything they see on this channel is going into my personal collection forever. Nope. I get a lot of people requesting full collection videos. And my response is, I mean, I can, but it changes so much, right? I cycle through things so much. I don't have a standing knife collection. I do have some pieces that have been with me for a long time, but it rotates a lot, and it's because of the channel. I wouldn't normally do that as a private collector. You know, if things went away tomorrow, if YouTube went away tomorrow, I would go back to supporting a couple makers, a couple brands. I'd have some solid pieces, and I'd focus more on community, making friends, going to knife shows, maybe just buying 1 or 2 pieces a year, and that would be it. But, like I said at the beginning, I am not normal. So don't look at me as a barometer of how people should own and collect knives. Now, obviously, there are people who are far better off than me, where they would own this amount of knives, and even more expensive knives, and it would just be for funsies, right? That's not quite the case with me. I do have a purpose, somewhat, of owning these things. Now, of course, my YouTube isn't actually generating any sort of money per se, so don't get the impression that it's like funding all of this, but it just gives me the purpose to bend the rules on what I should be doing, right? It gives me the purpose to get pieces because I'm like, that would make good content. That would be good for the channel. I think people would like to see that. That's what I mean when I say I'm not normal and I'm doing this for content creation. All right, guys, I hope that makes sense at all. And I hope it somewhat, I mean, my goal wasn't to, I don't know, it's just to ease certain people if they're feeling frustrated that they're not able to get the things I'm able to get, or they feel like they should be getting these things. You should not necessarily, right? Very few people should be able to do this. And like I said before, I probably won't be able to for much longer anyways. But that's, you know, it's all fun. Inexpensive knives are super fun as well. So I'm actually a little bit excited to transition into that in the future, which will probably be the case. But all right, guys, I'm out. Catch you later.